In this video, I'm going to walk you through a site that I recently created for a client called Presented. Let's go. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Derek Su. I'm a Sydney-based website designer and Webflow developer. In this specific client project, presented.com.au, feel free to check it out, I was tasked to turn their design into a Webflow site, a fully functional Webflow site. This specific client was lovely to work with, no issues there. So I always like working with really nice, easygoing people. But not only that, but they provided the design file actually in Illustrator, which is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's in Illustrator or Sketch or Figma or even Microsoft Paint, because at the end of the day, you just see the website. But Illustrator is very interesting because it's more for like illustrations, hence the name Illustrator. But nevertheless, I got it done. So this is essentially just a website for their new company site. And it's just essentially to update it. And everything was done in a 1,200 pixel container, which I thought was interesting. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it works. I'm typically not used to doing that. I typically build using like a 1650 container or 1,440, but this really works. And what's fantastic about this small container is the fact that you only require one breakpoint, which I love. So if I actually go back to Webflow, where we have breakpoints at the top, there is no larger breakpoints. So that was interesting. And everything works. Like I'm on a pretty fairly large monitor. You just see some space on the left and right, but it looks nice. So right now we have the home page where we just have a image right here, followed by paragraph text and some buttons with some nice animations. You'll notice in this specific image, this goes over the container. So this like windmill effect thingamajiggy is like, it's protruding beyond the container. So it's overflowing technically. That's a technical term. So that was something interesting. And as I scroll down, you'll notice that the nav bar actually switches between a white or a see-through transparent to a blue, and the logo switches to a dark to a white, and even the text and even the buttons. So all that was a bit tricky to do, to be honest. Not necessarily tricky, but it took time to do this. This isn't a native Webflow nav bar, and you got to think about mobile. How does this work on mobile as well? Which I'll show you a bit later. So we just have like services, which just has 3 specific pages. This was very unique as well because this services, this drop down right here is actually a link. So I can actually hit services right here, this drop down right here. And this takes me to this services page. This isn't straightforward to do. Essentially, you need to put this into a relative position with absolute, and then that's how you do it. Perhaps I'll make a tutorial. But that's that. And we just have services, works, about, pricing, blog, and contact us. And I'll just quickly walk you through each one of the pages along with any challenges that I had. But this specific website design was cool because they created custom illustrations. So that's a huge tip that I always recommend, is to use custom illustrations or custom photos and videos. That's what they did. That's really what made it unique. And they really had a really nice branding, like this orange and blue color. And then we just have text. And really this specific company is targeted towards, I'm assuming, like pretty big businesses. So you don't want to make it look, unprofessional or too silly or too modern. Like sometimes you go into like websites and they're just too like I don't know, they're just hyper modern. It doesn't really keep that professional feel. So that's what we did here. In this specific case, it's a testimonial with custom dot slider colors. I did a tutorial on this in the past. And then we just have FAQs, which is built using the CMS. I believe this was a Lottie file, this plus and minus, which was tricky to do as well because in Lottie files, you can only have one color. So how did it transition between a blue and an orange? Perhaps this could also have been done through 2 div blocks, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was done. Let me just actually go into it and actually see how this was done. This is quite a while ago when I did this. Let me just double click on it. Yeah, so I'm looking at this now, and this is actually not a Lottie file, but 2 div blocks with a custom animation. So let's quickly fly through it. So then we just have the footer right here, and then that's that. So then we'll go into the service page right here, which looks pretty interesting. I like this design right here, where it kind of breaks the layout in a way, like a left align, right align. I thought that was very creative. Again, I didn't design the website, but I thought that was really cool. And then we just have what we do, our process, that's nice. Additional support with custom illustrations, and why work with us, FAQs again. Then we can go into each one of the service pages, starting with presentation. So they do presentation design or graphic design. So that's what that was. Strength, why work with us, FAQs. And the other pages are quite similar, so I won't really show you, but this is the pitch deck, and it follows a similar layout, just different content. Then we have works. So right here is where you can actually see what Presented has done for their clients. For example, they work with pretty big companies like Hyundai and Gridlink, and these are Australian companies like Toll Group, but Hyundai is a global company. Swinburne University, that's massive in Australia. If we click into one of them, I believe that takes you to the in-depth page, which is done through the CMS, and it talks more about that specific project. So we just have title, then we have category, then we have short description, a thumbnail image, followed by a rich text, love rich text, then a CTA, a custom CTA with a different text that says want similar results like this, rather than get in touch in other pages. That's that. And then we have the about page right here, which looks like this. I can tell that they really like this gradient style on the left-hand side. And sometimes when you work with web designers or people who design websites, what I notice, and I'm no exception, is that they tend to really like one specific design style. And that's what I notice about or any web designer. They tend to have a favorite design style, and they all look kind of similar. Yeah, this section is pretty cool. Our team, and then CTA. What I do like about this site is they put different CTAs above the footer, same design, but different text. Then we have pricing right here, which looks like this. Our packages, followed by everything that's in the same style. Then we have blog right here. And right now there's only 10 blogs. This is even a dummy website or a dummy staging site that I'm looking at it on. So this might not actually be the actual content. But what I've done is I've added a fin suite, filter, and sort, so you can actually search the blog. And this is purely just because in the future, if they add more blogs, it's really easy to search stuff over. Because what I noticed is sometimes on websites with 300 blog posts that don't have a search functionality, they only have a tag nation, like go to page 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes all the way up to 12. And sometimes you can't even hit 12. You have to hit next, next, next. You can't really read the previous blog post, which isn't a big deal because it's mainly for SEO, like Google can discover it, which again in 2025, I don't even know if, I think everything's shifting to AI and stuff. But I personally like this because if you go in here, let's say it's a dentist company, you can type in something very, very specific like, oh, does this dental company have, something like crowns? And if it doesn't, then it'll tell you and it'll filter everything. So that's cool. Then we also have filter by categories right here, which you can tick multiple, and you can even hit reset filters, and it shows you how many results there are on the left-hand side, all built through the CMS. Let's go ahead and just click into one of them. And this is what the in-depth page looks like. So we have category, title, short description, author, which is tied to the CMS as well, thumbnail image, then one of my favorites, which I have to make a tutorial on this in the future, but rich text element. So for example, header 2, paragraph text, quote blocks, header 2, etc. Dot points, bolded points, even links. Looks very, very nice. And I see a lot of people kind of skip doing this, especially in Webflow templates. They don't really style the rich text element, but it really makes a huge difference. You know what I mean? These quote blocks that I styled in their color really makes it branded. And yeah, even the dot points, fixing up the spacing and all that good stuff. And it just makes a difference. Here's the links, making the link a certain color. And then you can actually embed YouTube videos. And I've also added share this post. So it's always great to put share functionality. And that's it. You may also Then finally, we have contact us, which looks like this. And instead of using Calendly, they use Microsoft Calendar. So on the right-hand side, that's what it is. Right now, my site is a bit slow on loading, but there it is. I just have very slow internet connection. That's why it's taking ages. Then it just says form. So it actually has the first CTA, which is we want you to book in a time with us with calendar. But if not, you can actually send us a message as well. And everything is styled. And then below that is just a location with a Google Calendar on the, Google Maps embed on the right-hand side, which isn't loading. So I'm not going to make you guys wait. But that's essentially it. I think one of the most difficult part or the most time-consuming part was that nav bar right here. So you can see this is white. If I scroll down, it goes to blue, as I showed you on desktop. But if I actually hit this open, you can see this is all white. And if I go down, it's blue. And something interesting about what I just said earlier, where we have the services link right here, where you can actually hit services and it takes you to a service page. And this is a drop-down functionality. If I go back into mobile view, I can actually hit services right here, which takes you to services, or I could hit this drop-down right here and it opens up the drop-down like so. So it's not the best user experience, because what if someone wants to hit this drop-down, but they just hit the services instead, thinking it'll open the drop-down, but it takes you to that page? That's something you have to think about. That's probably why Webflow doesn't really allow this super obviously, but that is something to keep in mind. That's essentially it. That's the calendar, by the way. So you can book in a time, and that's the Google Maps, which is still loading. But I hope you guys found this video super helpful. Feel free to leave a comment on what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video. May peace be with you.